Everyone says that conferences are a great way to build connections with people. But how do you actually build those connections? What do you actually say to people so that they get to be interested in you and your business? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So, are you ready? Hey entrepreneurs, it's Salma Jafri and I'm a video content strategist and you are in the right place if you want to build your personal brand with video. Be sure to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon next to it so you are the first to know when I upload a new video. I've just recently come back from attending a conference in Dallas called Video Marketing World, and I wanted to share some takeaways on how to build your personal brand while you are at an event, an in-person event, or at a conference. And somebody in my group, Michael, inside my Facebook group said that it would be nice to hear the perspective from both a speaker as well as an attendee on how to build your personal brand at conferences. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about it from both angles. So first up, as a speaker. So a few things I like to do as a speaker when I'm at a conference is to physically manifest my brand. So what does my brand stand for? Obviously, I have some ideas around that, some words around that, some colors and fonts around that. So the ways that I try and physically manifest my brand is, first of all, I wear my brand colors everywhere. To every single conference, I make sure that they pop. So I'll wear my purple shirts, I'll wear a purple necklace, sometimes I'll wear purple boots, anything that I can do to add that pop of purple in my branding, and people have been noticing that, and I get a lot of comments around that as well, and they're like, "You're team purple, right?" And I'm like, yeah, and that helps to take the brand from the online space to a physical manifestation of the brand online, right? Another thing that I do is that I give out my business cards. Hang on one second, let me get them. All right, so I take my cards and they're kind of quirky. I want to show you guys this. So on the front end of this, it says, it's all purple, and it says we met at. And then what I'll do is I'll typically take a Sharpie and I'll actually write the event that I met this person at, right? And then on the back end is the contact details and all of that stuff. So the card is also a physical manifestation of my brand. It's got my picture, and I only use business cards at conferences. I hardly ever use them other than that. So other than just, wearing your brand colors and stuff, you also want to make sure that you live your brand personality. So my brand personality is fun, it's sophisticated, it's elegant. So I want to always be dressed elegantly. I want to be having a lot of fun and, having great conversations, and I'm wanting to be, add that sophistication element as well in it. So I want to live that, I want to be that. So when I'm at a conference, that is my persona all the time. The other thing I want to do as a speaker, so thing number 2 that I use to build my personal brand, when I'm on stage, I want to give people a chance to have a connection with me that takes it to the next level. So they've listened to my speech, my talk, maybe interacted, asked a few questions, but then what, right? So I always want to give them, for example, something special to download at the end of my talk so I can get them on my email list. Or maybe I'll invite them to come onto my Facebook group and have a connection with them there. So as a speaker, when I'm building my personal brand, I want to make sure that I take that conference experience and bring it back online so I can continue to build on those relationships. All right, so now let's talk about how you can build your personal brand as an attendee at conferences. And speakers can use this as well, and attendees can use this, all of these points as well. So the first tip I have for you is it's really nice to sit and attend sessions and everything, but the actual connections are actually made at parties, at cocktail events, at meetups, at lunches, dinners, and breakfasts, at casual hangouts. That's where all of the fun and interesting and meaningful conversations and connections actually happen. So as an attendee, you want to make sure to attend as many of these casual or formal events as possible. So make sure you understand where the meetups are happening, get on board with them, and attend as many parties as possible. And when you are at these parties and these, cocktail events, ideally you just want to just walk up to a group, introduce yourself, and say, hey, what are you guys talking about? Can I join in? As simple as that, no fancy pickup lines or anything, right? Make sure that you are ready to mix, mingle, converse, and just let the conversation flow naturally. No big deal, okay? A more formal way of doing this, and something that I've done in the past, is if you know that you want to build connections with certain people or certain speakers, then ask to interview them. Obviously, this requires a little bit of prep work, so you want to do your research on the speakers. You want to make sure you have your questions ready, make sure you know what topics you want to ask, make sure you have your gear and equipment worked out. The first couple of interviews that I did were just with my GoPro. The next conference I attended, I added a tripod to that, and the next one, a mic. So I kept leveling up my equipment, but I started basic. If you can just go all out, that's fine. But you can start any which way and ask to interview speakers, because that's a great way to build a connection with them and also give something back to your audience. Hey, I attended this conference, interviewed this person. Here's what I learned. I want to share it with you. So a third way of building deeper connections with speakers as well as other audience members is to ask questions during a session. So you're sitting there, you're listening to a speaker talk, and typically at the end of their speech, they're going to be like, so any questions? And then there's like an awkward pause. It happens every single time, no matter how big or small a speaker is. Now, here's a quick tip that I learned. I actually implemented this. Raise your hand as soon as a speaker says, any questions? Think of the question later. If you've been paying attention, you can just ask a really quick question based on any point that they made in their actual speech and ask them to elaborate on it. That's not the point. The point is, be the first to ask a question, because you are going to get noticed by the speaker and they're going to appreciate the fact that you did not let dead air get in the middle of their speech, between their speech and the Q&A session, and you were one of the first to show so much interest. You were so highly engaged, and you were so interested and motivated to ask a question right away. Trust me, it really helps to make your brand stand out. So the fourth way is to walk up to a speaker or an attendee and ask them a pertinent question, either about there's something that you learned in their speech or about something that they're doing with their brand. So for example, when I spoke at Video Marketing World, Mark Massey just came up to me after my speech and said that this point that I made this is how he's going to implement it in his business. And that really stuck with me. And it was something that I really, really appreciated. So if you as an attendee are going to do that, you're going to tell a speaker exactly how their session is going to help in practical terms with their business, you are going to be noticed by that speaker. You are going to stand out. You are going to be somebody who made a valuable comment as opposed to just saying great speech. So my fifth tip for you is to establish a relationship online first and then take it offline. So it's really easy to do this. Start following people who are going to be attending the same event and see what's happening in their lives. And then when you actually meet them offline, ask a question about it. So for example, if I were to meet Sean Cannell tomorrow, I'd be like, hey, I just noticed you wrote a book called YouTube Secrets. So, how come you came to write a book? Or for example, if I were to meet Nick Nimmin tomorrow, I'd be like, hey, Nick, it's amazing you got 250,000 YouTube subscribers. That's amazing. So, can I talk to you about how you did that? If I were to meet Brian G. Johnson tomorrow, I'd be like, so I just noticed you put out this challenge about getting 50,000 subscribers in 1 year. And what's that all about? I actually did do an interview with Brian on that. It's going to be coming up soon on my YouTube channel. But the point of all of this is do your research online so you have talking points offline, in person, that you can expand upon, and then that shows people that you did your research, that you're interested, and it just opens up a really easy point of conversation. So point number 6 is something that I did for the first time this year at the conference I was attending, is to give out a small gift to all of the speakers. Now, I did this because I gave like a small keychain, which was ethnic footwear from my country. And it was a way for me to express my culture, my individuality, and also have people take away a physical product that would remind them of me. So you can do that with your brand, something that's, is pertaining to your brand or to your brand value, something that you can give away. Doesn't need to be too expensive, small, affordable, whatever you can do. It's just a way for people to remember you after the event. So if you can give a small gift, then that's a great way for your brand to stand out and be noticed. All right, point number 7 in how to build a personal brand at conferences is to always end a conversation by agreeing to connect on a deeper level on some other network. So I love how I'm gonna give you an example. So Brian Wallace, I met him at Video Marketing World, and he said, hey, let's connect on LinkedIn, right? But he didn't just ask me to look up his name. He said, okay, why don't you open up your LinkedIn right now and click on a button that says people near me. And I did that, and it was kind of fascinating because I'd never done that before. And I clicked on that button, and immediately his name came up because he was near me and he was teaching me how to use this function of LinkedIn. And his name came up, and I sent him a connection request, and he accepted it, and and now we're connected on LinkedIn. So what you want to do is immediately after you're done with the conversation, don't just end on a vague note. Always make sure that you connect physically right then and there. Hey, and you can just ask people, what's the best way to stay in touch with you? Maybe they'll say Facebook, so you send them a Facebook request right there and then, and they add you as a friend right in that moment, right? Or LinkedIn, or whatever your medium of, whatever your preferred way of communication is, or whatever there is. So that basically makes it a very legit way, and it's not like you sending a request 1 week later where they've forgotten about you, right? You want to do it right then and there, and it's fun, it's actionable, do it. At any conference that you attend, there are 4 types of people that you want to connect with. The first one is the host or the organizers. The second one are the speakers. The third are the attendees, and the fourth are the sponsors. So you want to make sure that you apply all of these tips for all 4 different categories to get the most value and maximum impact of attending that conference. You want to make sure that all 4 sets of people know you, know your brand, and have a way to get connected with you and remember you when you do connect with them later on. Tell me what some of your tips and hacks are to make your brand memorable when you attend conferences. I'm sure that you have some tips and hacks that other people would benefit by knowing, so please put them down in the comments below. Remember to go after what you want and build a brand you love, because you can be the media.